Welcome to the podcast. I have a wonderful guest. I've always known you as Brittany Lynn, and over, my gosh, I think it must be 4 or 5 years that I've known you now. I have just watched you transition into so many beautiful places and spaces in your life. So I'm so looking forward to us diving in about your work, your personal life. Thank you for being willing to be so transparent, and the new life that
Yeah,
you're going to be bringing into the world.
the new life. Yes, I've got a little bump here. Yeah, growing fast, growing big. Mhm.
Amazing. So do you wanna tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a mom first and foremost, and that really kind of intros or has brought me a little bit further into the work that I've chosen to get into. So I have a daughter and a son, and then again, I can kind of lift my my baby bump here. We're about to have our third baby. Um, and I really started off, I think, especially Jin, when I had started training with you. I was coming from the place of being a holistic nutritionist. And I had my license in holistic nutrition and was working with women with hormones and emotional eating and all of, the array of beautiful things that come with being a woman. And then I really started to delve more into the emotional work, more into the emotional body work, which led me to the nervous system. And the nervous system, specifically the female nervous system, was something that just like it resonated on every cell of my body. And I wanted to kind of dip into trauma work and that kind of stuff with women. And so I've recently just gone back to school, which I know, Jen, you know about, to get my master's in psychology. And so I'm just about to wrap that up. So I'll be kind of zoning in, still working with women, but kind of blending that emotional, physical, mental kind of body together through the physiology, through the nervous system, and then, of course, through the trauma work.
Incredible. And what is
Mhm.
some of the most common or interesting reasons women would come to work with you that you've had great results with?
So, definitely fertility, which is wonderful because I'm a great, like, walking, billboard for myself. Fertility, perimenopause, menopause, and then I would say all of the stuff that kind of starts to reveal itself definitely along that, like, perimenopause kind of time. As our hormones start to shift and as our nervous system starts to kind of tone down, there's a whole bunch of things that are happening, and a lot of women will find, like, my shit's coming up a lot more, right? Like, I don't have as much patience or I'm, getting in more fights with my partner, whatever it may be. And there's definitely physiology, like there's hormones involved there, but then there's also this kind of nervous system database piece that as the hormones are shifting, we're kind of leaking, maybe body memory and stuff like that. If we've done no work, like if there's really been no self exploration, release work, all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. I love that you see that. I often say to women that hormones aren't the issue, but they sensitize what hasn't been dealt with, and you
so
become less
good.
tolerant for what you have been tolerating, and
Totally.
you realize how much you might not be standing in your own power.
Yeah, totally. And like a big piece I've been like really leaning into now is especially for cycling women, depending on like the ratio and what's happening with our estrogen and our progesterone and what's going on in there, we have a different like ability to handle or a different resiliency. So our vagal tone is very much affected, like our vagus nerve and our ability to kind of come back to a regulated baseline. It's so affected by progesterone and estrogen and what's happening in that dance
Mm.
that a lot of women, again, they think they're crazy or they've got all these things going on, but it's like it's accessing and understanding the dance of hormones that's going on. And then when they're choosing to do some of the inner work. And sometimes we're led to do the inner work in times of the month where we're really not like the hardware's not as much set up for that. So it's just an interesting, again, this kind of different perspective on processing trauma and going into a little bit of the deeper stuff.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's incredible. So do you actually do the processing and the trauma work with people?
So I won't be doing a lot of the trauma work until I actually come out of the masters, like the practicum work and whatnot. But definitely working on some of the emotional release work and then working on increasing that vagal tone. So, how do we bring the ratio of hormones back into a beautiful dance, right? If we're cycling. And then how do we work with that vagus nerve? How do we increase capacity and increase vagal tone for people? Which is like
Mm,
the more vagal tone we have, it's like the more capacity, or you could think of it as like your stress bucket can hold a little bit more
yeah.
while staying in that regulated state. Versus low vagal tone, which think is like we can't lift as much. I compare it to like a muscle at the
Mm.
gym. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what are your sort of techniques? I'm sure you've got a whole tool bucket to meet people where they're at on the various stages and phases of their journey. But what are some of the things that you would do with people as well as guiding them with holistic nutrition?
hmm So I love attachment work. I'm very much connected to a lot of attachment work. So bringing in again, how are they in relationship to others? How are they in relationship to themselves? What was caregiver experience like? What was the home like? What was safety in the home like? All of that kind of stuff. So very much traditional and working with some of those childhood experiences. And then in in a certain way, allowing them to have some sort of a restorative experience or showing them what a restorative experience looks like. So an example would be I had a client and we're leaving out names obviously, who could never ask for anything or could never speak up for herself, and I don't think I've told you this story, maybe I have, but Um, and long story short, it turns out that anytime she would ask her father for anything, he was an alcoholic, he was verbally abusive, emotionally abusive, whatever. He would freak out, right? And be like, gosh, you're so annoying and you're always asking for things and you're naggy, 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 naggy. So she learned, right, as a little girl, okay, I just keep whatever I need to myself, right? Don't be annoying. Don't ask for what you need, whatever. So, not only working on that kind of back end stuff with her was really important, but creating restorative experiences out in the real world where it felt, like a little bit of like a let's kind of lean into this and then regulate afterwards. So, something like going to Starbucks and ordering a drink and then asking for something extra. So,
Yeah.
going back up to the counter, asking for a straw or asking for like, "Can I get extra whipped cream?" or like something, but just
Yeah.
asking, right, for something added, going back into that experience and then helping her with tools to regulate during that experience. So again, these like little restorative moments where the nervous system goes, "Ah, okay. I asked for what I needed and it was a different experience," right? I don't get shut down every time. I don't get told to go away and I'm effing annoying and all these things. So that's kind of it's like I love to bring the work into real world experiences for them as well.
Absolutely. I love
Yeah,
that, and it is a safe space to ask at a restaurant or a cafe because they're in service to you.
that's right. But so often it doesn't matter. People are like, I don't want to, I don't want to
One of
ask for
them,
too
I
much. Or,
know.
I don't want to be too difficult. And it's like, but you're paying for this. Like, of course, you don't have to be a jerk about it.
Yeah.
Um, but just I think asking for our needs in general, right? Especially as women, sometimes we can kind of just stay quiet and
Yeah.
smile and say, "Oh, I'm fine. I don't need
Yes.
anything."
I think
So,
that it's so
yeah.
great because people will actually be able to listen to this and go, "Oh, next time I'm just gonna ask for that little bit extra."
Mhm.
And it's that
Yeah,
success energy of what happens when I feel a yes and I don't get rejected. And I think what's also important is having the person that you can celebrate this with, like, "Oh my gosh, Brittany, I did it, and all these feelings came up in my body."
yeah, yeah, and that's so cool, right? Is, like, paying attention to, like, when I ask for something extra, what's going on internally for me? Because
Yeah.
so often we're having, like, like a mini panic attack, right? Because it's that remembrance of, when I used to ask or don't ask or used to get scolded or whatever it is. So it's kind of like this again, these having these restorative experiences. They don't have to be massive, but they can be so little and over time kind of rewrite that old programming.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah. And then yeah, and then of course matching that with light exposure, better sleep, like all the things that come with hormones that also help us just stay in our body, just stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the biggest things that I've noticed during the perimenopause, menopause time, and even outside of that window is people's sleep. And I now call it the modern day sense of survival. It's like you actually just need to learn how to prioritize sleep. And even if you feel like you're not sleepy, it's getting the mind into a state of rest. And this is something that I learned with Vipassana meditation is it actually doesn't matter if you don't sleep all night. It is how you feel about not sleeping that can be more exhausting.
Mhm.
And I see that the sleep, and I know we're going to get into some fascinating conversations about your journey with masculine and feminine dynamics, is that feminine is sleep is that more feminine space. And so it makes sense in
Mm.
this very masculine driven world that people resist it, even though it is such a basic function. And they will search externally for other things to be able to do to help them when actually it's about doing less a lot of the time. But it's so
Ugh.
valuable to have support.
Yes, yes, it's so true. And like that, this resting has to be earned, or, like I have to,
Or the guilt
the
with
only way,
resting.
yeah, or burnouts. So for me, my pattern was always like, I'll rest because I'm burnt out, not even because of a choice. It's because I've just been in that sympathetic fight. Like I've just been go, 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 produce, produce, produce. And like literally my body is saying no more. And then
Yeah.
the funny thing about that is usually then women are getting up at 3 a.m. because their hormones and everything's kind of all tipped off, right? If they've been in that burnout state and they find like sleep actually isn't that rejuvenating and fulfilling. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna let my puppy out of the door.
That's okay. Go for it.
Hey, give me 1 second.
Yeah.
I know you're like, I don't edit, but I'm like, but maybe just this little section
That's
because he's
okay. I don't
crying.
mind
Go.
seeing your puppy because actually your puppy
He's the
has
sweetest little bean.
was on many calls with us, so it's so cool to see that she is still around.
He, yeah, he's my child. So he's 14 years and he's actually giving me such a great idea of possibly having, like, therapy dogs, like, in the clinic.
Yes, my gosh, my little
I love
puppy
that
that I would have
idea.
just gotten around the same time, I had her in the clinic when I had the osteo clinic, and it's actually been on my mind for quite a few years to register as a therapy dog, and it's funny because my astrologer said that for me and my life path, something to keep me in balance is to do charitable work, especially towards elders, respect my elders on Saturdays,
Oh,
and I was like, "Does it really have to be Saturdays?" I don't know why I'm
that is
complaining because I have so many days off during the week. But it
that is
is
too
one of
funny.
those things where I'm wondering, if I action this, is this gonna change my life for the better? Because I've honestly been thinking about it for a few years, so it's funny that you're along the same path as well.
Mhm. I just think animals so healing, right?
Yeah.
Like, so healing. Yeah.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
I think this is a great transition
Yeah.
into why you stepped into my world, because one of my big things when I was working with practitioners back in the day is you've got to do the work that you're about to ask your clients to go through so that you understand the resistance, but also the liberation. So,
Mhm.
would you be able to talk a little bit about why, as a practitioner, you were attracted to the emotional work and your experience of actually moving through it yourself, the release
Mhm.
work?
I knew there was something deeper than just physical experience, like just this body, right? Just I knew that there was even when I was going through school in holistic nutrition, I was so into more of the psychology of disease. So I was really drawn into that kind of arena and way of thinking that my emotions and the state that I'm in are really affecting me on a cellular level, and how is that showing up or manifesting as diagnoses in the body or things that would be diagnosed in the medical field, how much of that is connected to unprocessed emotion and whatever. So I was so hungry to learn more because I really, really knew that was the truth. Um, and then I remember finding you, like seeing you on social media. I'm sure that's was kind of my first introduction, and just intuitively knowing this is the girl I want to learn from. Like, this is the course I want to take. This is kind of the path I want to go down. So it's kind of like always been within me. I think I've always had this like pilot light on of being awake and aware and knowing like the energetics and the emotion and frequency and energy is so important. And
Mm.
then the physical is like following that. Right. Um, so yeah, I know when I found your work and I found your course, that was really something that I wanted to dive into. Yeah.
Amazing. And I remember that we processed a handful of things and you just share what you feel comfortable.
Oh,
But now, after all of these years being in the online space and staying connected with wonderful people and practitioners like yourself, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so cool to see how your life has opened up. And do you feel that that work contributed to the life that you have today?
I think that there's a lot of clearing that happens, like clearing the clutter, clearing the heaviness. Um, yeah, I remember I was in the middle of rebranding, or I think I was deciding to kind of rebrand into more of the online space because it would have been around COVID or after COVID.
Yeah,
The
just
timeline
after.
is all messy. It was just
Mm.
after. And so anyway, I was moving out of a clinic space onto online, and I really wanted to merge the emotional physical. Like I really wanted that to be the thing.
By the
Um,
way, I'll just say that you're in Canada, right?
yeah, yeah,
Where in
yeah.
Canada are you?
Ottawa,
But it doesn't matter
which is
because
our
you're online.
it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, what was I saying? Pregnancy brain.
You were that's okay. So you were merging from the clinical bricks and mortar type space into
Mm,
the online
mhm,
space.
right. And I know for a fact that I had never had so much expansion than after we had completed the release, like the practitioner training. And I just could see that in the numbers in my business and in the type of client I was attracting. It was just so blatantly obvious, like so different. Um, and so I know it just yeah, it expanded me. And in the nervous system world, we talk about contraction and expansion. Like there's really these kind of two states that we're in. And so definitely just releasing those, processing those emotions and the things that we had worked through. We had done a miscarriage, right? We had
Yeah.
done
Oh, yeah.
trying to think of the other things that we had processed.
I think there was
There
just a
were
little
some
bit of
big
stuff
ones.
around relationship, and you don't
Yeah.
need to go into
My
detail around that.
Yeah. No, no, but there was a lot going on at that time and we had to do a lot of process around that. And interestingly enough, not only am I again pregnant now with my third, so I feel like that fertility stuff really came along, but also my husband and I. So he was my boyfriend at the time. We've now gotten married. Again, we're on our third. And so there was a lot of clearing that happened more in that emotional, energetic space, which
Mm,
then kind of manifested. And this wasn't like a year after, like it wasn't boom, boom, boom. It
yeah.
still took time to process. But oh my gosh, like I'm sure Jen, you can see from just being on the other side and watching my relationship and the wedding, and like it's just so different. Like
Oh, yeah.
so evolved. Yeah.
It was incredible, and again, I wanna be really respectful towards
Yeah,
your
yeah.
husband, but one thing was is that you were together, you had a couple of kids, and then oh, actually, so you were
We
together,
had one
you had
kid.
one
Mhm.
child. You tell the story, and then separate
We
way.
had separated. Yep.
Yeah.
My daughter was about 8 weeks, and we had decided, okay, was moving through some things. We had to go our separate way. And I wanna say we were separated for almost a year. It would have been almost a year and a half. And then we decided to come back together. But even though we had decided to come back together, there was still a lot of work to be done because we had both kind of done our work on our own. And then it was like the conjoining of these two kind of more authentic versions of ourselves, I guess I would say. And there was still uncertainty and there was still things that felt muddled and all of these pieces. And so that was a big part of the release. That was a big part of kind of the stuff that you and I were working on and processing. Um, and I know I said this to Jen before we hit record, but it's like if you knew this man before and if you knew this man now, it's unbelievable. It's the same person. But it's a completely different expression of him.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
it's so beautiful to watch the transformation. It's amazing.
So amazing. So amazing for a man to go through the personal work as well, and
Oh,
then just hear how you're able to receive him as well. And
yeah,
I've been having interesting conversations with people recently around it's not about asking you to change. Well, there is in reality change that's going to be on the cards, but the change is up to you. But actually, it's not necessarily about being someone that you're not. It's been a more authentic version of who you are. What's already
that's
inside
it.
of you that might feel a little bit uncomfortable because you haven't been that way. So that's
Yeah,
incredible. So
and yeah,
you got back together. You had another baby.
yep, yep.
And
So we
how
had
old are
my
they now?
son. So Savvy's 9.5, Mackie's 6, just turned 6. And then this little one's due in July. So we've got quite the age gap, which I'm really excited about just to kind of watch that dynamic. Even just
Mm.
having my son and my daughter at my wedding was such a beautiful experience that a lot of people, if they're getting married prior to kids, they don't have that experience, you know? And so I've just, yeah, I've loved the order of our journey. You know, at first you think to yourself, this isn't how it's supposed to be. But now I'm like, I actually love the order of our
Mm.
journey and how my kids have been so involved. And they're so excited for the baby and they're so into my son still thinks it just comes out of your belly button. Like the baby just like the belly button opens up like a sonic door and then shuts, and then we're all good to go. And I'm like, yes, that is what happens. That's what happens. But they're so like enthralled and excited about the whole thing that there's a human in there. And yeah,
Can I
yeah.
ask how old you are, Brittany?
Ye I'm about to turn 40 in 2 weeks.
Wow, amazing. You look stunning, you
40
always
and
have.
for 40 oh, thank you, thank you. It's the light, yeah, for sure. 40 and then 30 weeks pregnant, so I'll be yeah, well on my way.
Incredible. Can you give us some
Crazy.
insight into desiring to get pregnant again? Where did that come from?
I felt like there was one more little soul that had to come through, and I remember in the middle of the night, there's often times where I will connect with spirit. This has happened to me since I was a little girl. And it depends on what's going on in my life too. I find sometimes I'm like super clear and I have like really clear connection and other times I don't. And I remember waking up and seeing almost like this little like baby kind of like slipping at the bottom of my bed. And then I was working with another practitioner who we were doing this like deep meditation and whatever. And I had already had Savvy at the time, and I was doing this, like, deep, deep meditation, and there were 2 little boys that were playing and chasing butterflies on a sidewalk. That's what showed up in my meditation. It was, like, so clear as day. Now, one of the little boys was definitely my son, Mac, who loves butterflies, who chases butterflies all the time. So I don't know if this is another boy, it might be a girl, but I always felt like there was a 3rd soul that wanted to come through. And then I used to say this to my husband all the time. I'm like, the kids would be in bed or the kids would be upstairs playing or whatever. And I would always think like there was one other person in the house, even though there wasn't. Like our family was there, but it was like I felt like there was another energy, if that makes
Mm,
sense.
yeah.
Or like that I had to go check on something, but I didn't have another baby. So these kind of like inner ings, like little pings of like this, I'm not done yet. Like there's just one more that has to come through. And I'm just like, yeah. I mean, if you saw my algorithm, it's just newborns and babies.
Mine's just horses.
Oh, oh, yours is horses and dogs. I still have dogs in my feed. But
Yeah.
even when I just see these little like, my whole body is, like, oxytocin flood. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I just can't wait. I just can't wait. Yeah.
And was your husband on board easily?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, he was good to go. Yep,
Can
yep.
we talk a
I
little bit
come from 3, so I feel like
okay.
not that everybody, like, comes from 4 and then they need 4 kids, but I
Yeah, but
came
it's a
from
pattern that you
3.
wanted to recreate.
I wanted to recreate, and like I said, it was this inner knowing of, like, there's one more. There's
Mm.
just one more, and then you know what? I will be complete. And a lot of moms would tell me, "If you don't feel complete, you're not done."
Yes,
Like, if
yes.
you yeah.
I often talk about Kirsten's story, and I did record a podcast with her, and she felt like she also had 2 and a number of miscarriages and just felt like there was a 3rd one on the cards, and she just overcame so many people in the medical community telling her it's not possible, the clairvoyant telling her that 3 wasn't on the cards, but she's got her 3rd one, and actually, it was just yesterday she messaged me to say, "He's about to turn 3, and I just wanna thank you so much for
Oh, I
helping me
love
create
that.
this life and this journey along those lines. So
I
I
love that.
love that this is coming through for you as well, because I think pregnancy is an incredible time, and I'd love for you to share what you've noticed is different about you in your 1st, 2nd, and now this 3rd pregnancy on the energetic level.
I literally am, like, in awe of the body and in awe of the fact that, like, this womb space is literally connected to a different realm. Like, the perspective of what it means to create life and carry life is so much more in depth, I think, with this 3rd, just because I have grown spiritually and I have grown on the emotional level, like my emotional intelligence, awareness, everything is just greater with this 3rd pregnancy. Now, I will be very transparent and say in my 1st trimester, I was so sick, throwing up every day, that if you asked me if this was the most magical moment of my life, I probably would have told you to, like, kick rocks. Um,
Funny. Oh, well, I
but
reckon that's where the emotional work helps because once you're in it, it's like you just gotta find a way to deal with it.
you're in it. You're in
Mm.
it. So I would say, like, spiritually and emotionally, I'm in awe this time around. I'm, like, really connected to the fact that I'm like, there is a human being that my body is creating, and it's doing it from a pure space of surrender. I'm not directing and telling it to, build the liver, build the brain, like,
Yes.
it's pure magic. And I think that's the experience is yeah, I'll just have moments even in the morning with my coffee. I'll have moments of just feeling that overwhelming sense of, like, awe. That's the best way I
Mm.
could describe it. Like, wow, like, this is I feel very lucky. I feel lucky, and I do feel like it's such a gift. Such a
Yeah.
gift.
And honestly, the body is just so incredible, isn't it? Another
I
conversation that I've been having with people is that usually they come and see us because they've got issues and they're so frustrated and disappointed with their body, especially on a fertility journey. Every month, if the period comes, it's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing here? And more, I've been saying that think of your body as a child or your younger version of yourself. Can you imagine how it feels, how you treat it, how you speak about it? And actually, for the smaller parts that might not be functioning the way you wanna control it and have it work, the rest of your body is moving you through life, and the fact that it can build a human without you, as you said, putting your mind to it and giving it orders, like, that is just absolutely incredible if we can trust our body to do what it's designed to do.
yeah. Yeah, I think it, like, brings, you closer if you have a relationship with God or spirit or whatever it is that you believe in, like, it brings you closer to that greater thing,
Yeah.
being, going through the process of having a child, carrying a child, the whole thing. Yeah,
Mm.
it's
So,
beautiful.
from my perspective, it sounds like it's a much more feminine experience. But I think what would be
Mm.
valuable to talk about before we go into the pregnancy is the relationship side of things. Because you've mentioned a couple of things like burnout and then the nausea in pregnancy. And if you remember when we worked through constitutions, it's like, Brittany, you must be very pitta. And that's why you've got your
Pitta.
business.
Yes.
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 So that's
Yes,
why
I
you've got the
remember.
drive to actually study and learn and be the best and create your own business. So that's pitta in its element, but also the risk for a pitta, which is me as well. It's probably why we've attracted one another into our world,
Totally.
is
Totally.
that the risk of burnout, overworking. So you talked about for you, your experience was, I'll get burnt out, then I've got permission to rest. But that rest is coming from a place of pain. And then nausea is actually one of the pitta manifestations, um, like the morning sickness. So it's really interesting. But let's talk
Yeah.
about it in your relationship dynamics because you've obviously done a lot of work on your relationship, and from the sounds of it, you were one version of you, and now you are a better, more vulnerable version of yourself now. So can you walk us through what that looks like on a practical level and then teach us about the energetics?
Mhm. I love that you use the word vulnerable because it does feel very vulnerable for someone who's been in that productive achievement. This is how I get validation. This is how I get people's attention. Their love is by producing, right? And doing and working and look at the money I'm making and all of these things. It's how I thought I would be loved or accepted or whatever.
And you used to be a
And
child teen actress,
I
didn't
was like, yeah, yeah, and good at it, right? And it's so funny, like, when I start to heal or have started to heal and have continued to heal those parts, that that was my strategy, right? That was my adaptive strategy that I decided as a little girl, if I do this, this, and this, people pay attention to me. People treat me differently. People love me, right? People show up for me. Like those were ways that I figured, okay, like this is how I get love. But it means that I must be the best. I must always be doing. I must always be, in a way, performing, right? I must always be showing up, all of these things. And the fear was if I let go of even just a little bit of that, right? Even in my relationship with a man who I know loves me no matter what, even if I just let go of a little bit of that productivity, that's it. I'm toast, right? No one's going to love me. I'm unlovable, all of those things. So through the healing and again having these restorative experiences like we've talked about and doing the emotional release work and all of these things, there was actually a part of me that the burnout became like in the nervous system world, we talk about like if you've been running from something your entire life and you finally get permission to stop running, what do you think the body wants to do? Right? Like
you?
totally collapse. So sometimes we talk about being in more of that shutdown collapse state is not always a bad thing. Sometimes this is where our body kind of goes into that hibernation mode. Like, I need to just, right? We don't want to stay there for our whole life, but sometimes this is kind of that space we go into. And so on a practical level, that's exactly what it looked like was me kind of just like retreating and allowing my husband to kind of step into the front, if you will, or start to kind of drive the bus a little more. So he just recently has taken on his own company. We've moved to a place where he had to go to run this company. And I knew 100% like, okay, you're going to be, you're just going to step back a little bit, Britt. And we had to have this conversation together, right? But I had to be accepting of like, okay, right now, maybe I'm not the one who's, I got to bring in all the money and I got to run all the programs and I got to do all the things. I'm going to let him take over some of that stuff and I get to kind of do my own thing, right? Which
Mm.
is definitely more, I've found I'm a more present mother, like just not having to do all the things I used to pressure myself to do, thinking that was a way I was going to get love or attention or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's felt so good to sometimes the notion of, I'm like, "Am I gonna get that drive back? Or is it gonna look different?" right?
Yeah.
After baby number 3, like, I almost feel like every time I have a baby, I get kind of pulled back into this, like, internalized, like, cocoon, and then I emerge as something a little bit different.
Oh, yeah, I love that. I feel like pregnancy is just such a beautiful transition time if you can surrender to it. And that's what
Oh.
our little conversation before we hit record was about, is that this pregnancy feels so different. I'm like, I'm so excited for you because I know the great ideas are going to come, but from the feminine energy during this
Mm.
pregnancy. Because also, you do realize life is going to look different. And I think so many women still try and hold on to the identity of who they were before kids. And we also hear of women losing their identity when their kids leave home and going, "Oh my gosh, who am I?"
Mm. I think it's like this balance of I still have my own ideas and all of this, but I also know I'm in a season of motherhood where these years are so important. I can be a therapist till I'm 70 if I want, right? Like if that's where life takes me and what I want to do. But the the babies that I feel like I'm gifted with, it's like it's such a gift to be present with them and to raise them and all of the things. I think that's been the biggest shift, and maybe it's just also learning about attachment and all the attachment trauma and all the things, but I've been able to sink more into the role of motherhood
Mm.
than ever, and even my social media, I had a client reach out and she's like, "Are you okay? Like, where are you?" I'm like, "I don't know where I am. I just have no desire to be super out there and again, like, you know me, that's not usually me. Usually I'm promoting and I'm
Mm.
reels every day and I wanna put out good content and teaching, and there's been something about this pregnancy that has just, like, pulled me in, more
Yeah.
private, more like, I didn't even tell anyone I was pregnant until we were
Yeah, well,
well
I saw a picture, I was
halfway
like,
through.
"Are you in your 3rd trimester?" And you're
Yeah,
like, "I'm
yeah!
only
I'm like,
22 weeks, but
"Not."
I'm just massive."
I'm massive. I'm only halfway, but I'm massive. Which is so different, right? Like with my other 2, I was like pregnant and 9 weeks and 10 weeks and and here's my pregnancy test and look at me, look at me, look at me. And there's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with that. Like I love that people find expression through social media. I'm just saying the difference for me this time has been quiet, more internal, uh, more intimate, more like
Mm.
connecting to the baby, like talking to the baby, singing to the baby. It's just been more inwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that, and you actually still have been serving, right? But just, I guess, promoting yourself in a different way. And I remember learning about energetics, and now I say to people, you can't really learn it from a mental, cognitive point of view. You've got to be in the experience of it. And one of the things that I was always told that kind of was a little bit triggering because I wanted to understand how, give me the strategy, was less is more. And then it wasn't
Mhm.
until that I just got curious in safe, restorative ways to explore what could less look like and create more or be in more fun, be more present and watch what happens. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so true." And I think it's only through the lived experience that people will ask you how, and you just gotta walk the path. So,
You gotta
yeah,
walk it out. I would never have thought in a million years that I would just have no desire to be go, 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 because that's just always who I've been.
mm,
Um, and just finding fulfillment too in other things. Like we've really built such a cute community here and just like like being with people again, like face to face and doing dinners and whatever. It's like that's just so fulfilling for me right now that yeah, it feels like other things that were there are just not they're just not there anymore. I just feel fulfilled in
yeah.
simpler things, like making a homemade Caesar dressing, I said to you. It's like
That's right, you were saying, "I wanna
what I
make a salad
my yeah,
before
I'm
cake."
I'm making my homemade Caesar salad, my homemade dressing, and I love to like the lettuce and like yeah, I love that. Whereas
Yeah,
again, if you talked to me 5 years ago, I was like, I gotta launch my program. I gotta sell this out. I gotta brand this. I gotta da da da. Like it's just so different.
yeah.
And maybe I'll revert back to that? I don't know, but right
I think it'll
now
be from a
that's
different lens, I reckon.
I think so too. I think so too.
It's
Yeah,
so funny
yeah.
because you talk about the Caesar salad and your homemade dressings, and last night I actually made a chocolate cake, and it's so funny because, I totally forgot, but Violet's going on school camp this morning, and she said, "Mum, we've gotta bake some goodies." I'm like, "What? Go to the freaking supermarket and buy
What?
stuff?"
Yeah, pick up some cupcakes.
But that's
Yeah,
what happened for me as well, and I've got no shame in that, is, hey, I am not going to slave away at the kitchen or feel like that.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
happy to buy sushi from the supermarket for a potluck dinner that we had the other night, or potluck lunch, or, for my daughter to go to school camp and take supermarket muffins. However, I did bake a cake, but I loved being in the space of, I actually wanna bake the cake, and I wasn't doing it for her school camp because, Gav said, "Just take the cake Mum made." I was like, "That's too good for school camp." It's
Yeah,
got real
I'm not
chocolate in it.
wasting it on those kids. Yeah.
But I thought, you know
Well,
what? This is good energy, good juju. They can have it for their
yeah,
morning tea. So it just felt nice to actually want to make
yeah.
the cake and enjoy making the cake, because sometimes I know that if I do it from a place of, I think I need to do this and I'm
I
rushing, then I
should.
turn the heat
Yeah,
up, I overcook it, and I ruin it, and I
yeah,
just wasted my time.
yeah. Yeah, and it is, like, we talk about the energetics, right? The intention and the energetic behind something follows that thing, right? So it's yeah, if we're doing it out of, like, "I should," I should do this to be a good mom. I should do this to whatever, then it's just not gonna it just won't be the same outcome. It just won't.
Yeah.
But
Can
there's
I
this and there's still nights where I'm like, I just wanna order something because I don't wanna cook,
Yeah.
right? I think as women, it's like finding like being okay with that. That yeah, there's some days that I like wanna be 100% mom, kitchen, make homemade butter, make all this stuff. Then there's other days where I'm like, we're ordering to your point, we're getting the sushi. We're getting Indian food, like, we're getting some I can't do it tonight, I don't wanna even, like, turn
Yeah.
on the lights in the kitchen. It's just
Yes,
like that
absolutely.
fluidity, right? Yeah.
Totally, and I say to people, it's being in tune with yourself. What's about to come up? What's my past experience? And to be able to reflect on it and recognize, well, what could I do or be to make this easier for myself? Because this cycle is going to repeat itself. And it's just crazy. And our friends and our family can watch us go through it and go, why do you do it to yourself every time?
Why they
But
do
that's
it.
where the response and the answers have got to come from within.
Mm,
Now, there was another way that you were talking about the energy of your relationship and softness. So, there is a
mm,
particular woman that I'm going to say, when this podcast comes out, I want you to listen to the way Brittany has spoken about this. Can you speak? Do you recall it? Are you able to cultivate that conversation about bringing more softness or embracing more softness in who you'll be?
mm, mm. I use the wrong term. That when I say softness, I feel like what I usually say, I took more of a back seat, and I think that that triggers women, especially women who are very much in that productivity CEO type place, and it's I need to find kind of a different phrase. I
Well, that's okay because
soft
it's
Yeah.
different words have different meanings to people, and so I'm just thinking you've got a beautiful energy in the way you're conveying it. Even saying that sometimes people think that softness is taking a step back.
Yeah,
Even space.
it's I feel more in my true expression being more soft. I love to be taken care of. I always have wanted to be taken care of. Again, what I'm saying will be very triggering for some women. That's okay. That's okay. Um, and I had mixed that up somewhere down the line with does that mean I'm entitled or a weak woman? Or, submissive. Like I had blended it with all of these words that over time as women and feminism and all of this, we've like we're wrapped up in these kind of traumatic terms. And I was
Mm,
like, no, I want a man. I want a protector. And I started getting really clear on what I wanted the dynamic of my husband and I to feel like. And in order for the dynamic that I wanted, okay, so for him to step forward and become the leader of the household, the leader in his life, like, in order for him to do that, there was something in my approach, connection, words of love I used towards him, all of these different ways, I had to soften. I know we keep just using these words, soften. I
Yeah,
had
yeah,
to melt a little bit
yeah.
and
Well, this is the tricky
allow
thing,
him,
right? Because it's
like, not
energy.
compete.
Yes.
It's all energy. I know. I'm trying to put like language to
Yeah,
more of a way of being,
yeah.
more of a fluid way of being. And I'm not saying on a Monday I made this decision and on a Tuesday I was soft as butter. Like I'm not saying that, right? It took time and it took this kind of dance of like, I'm going to step back a little bit and I'm going to let you lead. I'm going to let you make some decisions maybe for the family, even just this move and just trusting him. This is what you want to step into for work. Okay, let's go. Right. I left my friends, I left my family. Like I did this big move, letting him lead. It
Mm,
took a lot of me having to go, okay, you go forward. Right. I'm going to follow. And
yeah,
again, these words like submissive, follow can be very triggering, but yeah, we couldn't both be in the front together. It's not going to work like this, right? Like we can't both have our swords drawn. We can't both be driving at the steering wheel. Someone
yeah,
has to be letting the other person kind of take charge, but this took a lot of time for
yeah.
us to
And
to get
and
here.
it took conversation, the ability to
Conversation,
talk about it.
it took me saying, and sounds silly, okay? This sounds simple, oversimplification maybe. It took me saying to him things like, "I'm so proud of you." And not from a demeaning like I'm your mummy, but, like, I'm so proud of you for what you've done. For our family, I feel so protected, I feel taken care of, like, and I love you for that. Like, lifting him up a
Mm.
little, right?
Well, is it sometimes
Um,
just saying, "Hey, this what you did or who you are, this made me feel this way," just to actually acknowledge and give voice to it.
yeah, yeah,
So he knows he's on the
yeah.
right track because
He knows
he
he's on the
explained
right
it as
track.
well.
Yeah, and when I got to admit, like, I remember I remember doing the work and going, "I want to be taken care of."
Mm,
That's okay, and there's no shame in that. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to work and I don't get to build my own stuff and whatever, but there is a part of me, like, I want to be protected and I want to be taken care of, and that's okay.
yeah.
And, it was like that admittance, I think, to myself and not having it tied to shame
Mm,
allowed me to then let him take care of me, right? Because
yeah.
if the shame was still tied to that, I would never truly let him take the reins. Like, I would
Yes.
always have my hand on one, right?
Yeah.
Maybe give it some tugs. But just yeah, and it's just, yeah, I kinda let my clients go as I went back to school to do my master's. I was like, "I don't have to really work as much." We're in a very lucky position that I have that choice to say I don't really have to work that much. And again, I never thought I would be okay with that because I've always been the person driving the bus. Like, I've
Yeah.
always been competing. Yeah.
And this is where I see the power of emotional work, and you've clearly worked on your nervous system. You've expanded your capacity to be able to receive and hold this energy. Because I always say to people, actually, what you desire is pretty big energy. It's bigger than all of the challenges that you've been through. But let's work through the challenges and then let's walk the journey and deal with your new questions and fears and challenges that come up when actually you're living a life that is so foreign to you that was once just a dream. And so you say that you're lucky, but I believe that you've attracted this. And I just love that you've been able to share with us about your relationship because I always enter with clients, and I'm sure you do as well, that hey, they might want to separate or divorce, or might want a deeper connection, but it could go the opposite way. So it's open to whatever is when you start with the foundation of working with your emotions and then going to the level of communication of what is it that you actually want, but more importantly, what do you want to feel? And when you
Mhm,
can come from that place, it doesn't matter if you separate or if you have a deeper connection because you're going to
mhm,
attract whatever is for you and you're going to have what
mhm,
it is you want, what it is you desire.
mhm. And that's that piece of, yeah, coming back to who am I?
Mm,
What do I really want? What are my needs? What do I really want? and can I express them? And
Yeah.
then to your point, everything on the outside becomes a reflection of that, and we draw it in.
Mm.
Our life is so different, and someone would look at it from the outside and go like, "Yeah, you moved and you started a company and all this stuff," but there's pieces in more like the internal workings that are so different that maybe people wouldn't see, right? It wouldn't
Yeah.
like, it's not a house or a car or whatever. It's, like, not in that stuff. It's that stuff's great, but it's the like, just the inner workings, right?
Yeah.
The intimacy, the communication, the saying, "I'd let like, this is really important to me. I need you to do this," or
Yeah.
when you say that, I love when you say that. Like that, those little things that people think are nothing are everything over
Yes.
time. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and I think people have this perception that if I just do the inner work, then I'll change, and I say energy speaks louder than words, and that's why we can communicate with animals in a certain way, or they're attracted or not at or repelled by us. But
Mhm.
there is a level of stepping into what I shall say is leadership and communication. Is it's even more powerful to give it voice. And then maybe your partner can't actually deliver what it is you want. But in that, it's going to lead to new feelings, new decisions. Can I be
Mhm.
okay with this? Or is this a deal breaker?
Yeah. Yeah,
Can I
totally.
ask?
Yeah.
And your husband's got a
Yep.
name, Tim. Uh,
He does have a name.
Did he what has he said to you, in the past? Has he ever expressed that he's wanted you to change or embrace more or anything like that?
I think in the transition we've gone through, in the move, he just feels so supported, and he's vocalized that so many times. Like, I like, a weekly basis, there's always a thank you. Like,
Mhm.
I know that you sacrificed your family and your friends and all the time. I wouldn't be able to do this without you. It's those kinds of things. Like, he's like, "I wouldn't be able to do what I do without you. Like, you're such an important piece of it."
Mm.
And I am. Like, I am. Um, and so I think that, like, that type of communication it's so beautiful to hear. It's not,
Yeah.
mhm,
You're one
that's
of the
appreciation.
people that I know, and I haven't been able to get many people on the podcast to talk about this because especially when it comes to relationship, we want to be respectful to the other person on the podcast and not share their side of the story, just yours. But I say to people, I know you might not feel it right now, but if you are meant to be together, you will be together. But it is so important to prioritize yourself. And that's what I see you were both able to do in the separation. And so it is a beautiful love story of you got back together, you had another baby, you moved, you helped one another build a life, and then you got married, and now you're going to give life to another child, which I'm so excited to find out if it's a boy or a girl, but it's gonna be perfect, whatever it is.
Aw, it is, like, at our wedding, part of my wedding speech was like, "We have walked through the fire." Like,
Mm,
because we have walked through the fire, but it led us to this. Because maybe I wouldn't have done all the emotional work unless we had separated. Maybe this wouldn't have happened because of this. Like, I really believe that every micro moment leads to the next. And we could say, "Oh, I wish it was like this. I wish it was like this." But it's like, it's all just unfolding in these like little micro moments. And now with this third baby and bringing this new soul through, it's like, yeah, had I not gone through that, I don't know, would I be where I am? I don't know. Maybe not.
yeah. It's a fascinating journey, and I think it's the journey that's more interesting than the end results, isn't it?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yep. I'd
Incredible.
probably do it again. I would do it again.
Yeah, I love that. I love that when you've got a pattern that you wanna actually repeat or recreate. Is there anything else you wanna talk about with your life, your work, anything else that you would love to share to people listening?
I love to direct people. So we've done our season 1 of the Anxious Girl podcast. That is a lot around the nervous system piece, a lot of the hormone talk that you and I kind of briefly sprinkled in the beginning of the episode. So for women and listeners who wanna learn more about that, the hormones and how they play in the nervous system, um, that's something I'm really proud of. Like, I'm really proud of my podcast. More so because I was like, "I wanna do this," and then I did it. Like, I just executed, and it was amazing, and there will be a season 2 coming out. I'm just not promising any dates
Yep.
or anything like that because I just wanna take time with the baby. Um,
So the
yeah,
Anxious
and yeah,
Girl podcast, where can people
The
find it?
Anxious Girls, Spotify, Apple Music, yeah, like
Yeah, I'll make sure
your
I put a
regular
link
places.
in the show notes as well.
Yeah, yeah, and then I'm toggling right now, my Instagram is at Brittany Lynn Wellness, and then I have a kind of another account as I'm finishing and becoming a psychotherapist. It's called, That Girl's Therapist, so at That Girl's Therapist, and that'll be a lot more again, like the psychotherapy and whatnot that will come into play. But to be very honest with your audience, I'm just in a space of not really creating a lot of content. So you won't see me pop out all the time, but maybe once in a while there. And yeah, I like to be honest with that.
Yeah, you just make sure you reach out and give me the most updated versions because usually I'm quite critical or judgmental about people talking about the nervous system and using all of these crazy languages and words. Sorry, it is a different language, right? But I think only
Yeah,
us as practitioners understand it. And I just love how you use real life mundane experiences because you don't need to be cognitively intelligent to work on your emotions or your nervous system. You've just got to be able to feel in your body. And that's what we haven't done for such a long time for the majority of people. So
yeah.
you are one of the practitioners, many practitioners, well, actually, many but few practitioners that I am willing to get on here and share your work because I know you've done the deeper work and I've watched the transformations in your life. And I think that experience is going to be an analogy for so much of what your clients and the women that you work with are experiencing.
100%. I always say, like, you can't learn it from a textbook.
No.
You can read about something all you want, but until you've like walked it out and it's not the same. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Brittany. I really appreciate you taking the time. I'm glad that I caught one of your very few posts or stories that you put out there so that I could catch you before you pop this baby out. I was like, how long have we
Oh my
got?
gosh.
I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, I
you're
can
like,
tell.
let's get an episode going. Yeah. So
But
happy to be here. Thank you.
all the best. I will be thinking of you in this last trimester and for your birth. I am sending you all of the love to you and your family. And I'm so excited to hear your experience of it when you're ready to share.
Amazing. Thanks, Jen. Thanks so much.